Guys, Iran just pulled off one of the most underrated and underreported power moves in modern geopolitics. They completely shut down American GPS within their borders and flipped a switch that changed everything. And I'll explain what I mean today. They didn't just block American GPS, which is a satellite navigation system used across the world, but they replaced it entirely in Iran with China's Beidou satellite system. And this move is a way bigger move than most people will give it credit for. You probably don't even know about it, right? For decades, Iran has been trapped in a technological cage by the West. Every time they wanted high precision navigation, for example, for their military, ballistic missiles, maybe agriculture, infrastructure, they had to rely on American GPS that could be turned off for specific sections of the country, for specific technology, at the US's discretion at any point, because it's the American satellites that give the world GPS. The US literally controlled Iran's ability to navigate in their own country. I for example, didn't know that GPS was reliant on a constellation, meaning a group of American satellites. I didn't know that till like a year and a half ago. But here's where the story gets interesting. China spent 30 years quietly building an alternative to GPS, Beidou, their own version of GPS. And now it's not just competing with American technology, it's actually beating it in some regions. Why did China initially start this journey to make a GPS alternative? Well, like with many things, America exercised their power in a way that shocked a nation. Like China, for example, had a ship that was stranded in a certain sea in a certain part of the world, and American GPS systems were switched off for that ship because America suspected that ship to be holding cargo that America didn't agree with. A ship is switched off the GPS system for the ship couldn't navigate, it just remained floating in water for days. They then got boarded by American troops or Coast Guard, I'm not too sure actually, sorry. Admittedly, I forgot the details, but I remember reading that they got boarded by some American interest group. They checked the ship, there was nothing wrong with it, so they got on their whatever speed dinghies or whatever, because they're not pirates if it's American. It's only pirates if it's from an African country or Asian country. That's how it works. One set of rules for the West, another set of rules for the rest. But anyway, the point is, that ship, that Chinese ship, was stranded. It's completely blind. It was completely lost. No one on board knew how to navigate with the flipping stars or whatever, right? But like back in the days. So they just sat there without GPS. So China decided, okay, I'm gonna make my own GPS, right? Hold my, not fortune cookie because that's the American, hold my noodle bowl, right? Beidou now covers 140 countries and processes over 1 trillion local requests a day. Sorry, location requests a day. I messed it up, man. That was supposed to be a really impactful. Anyway, you got it. Loads of location requests, making Beidou a genuine alternative to US GPS dominance. Iran's switch isn't about just basic navigation. It's about breaking free from American technological control forever. By switching to Beidou, Iran has signaled that it will no longer be vulnerable to Western-controlled satellite warfare. Think about what this means. No more GPS blackouts during conflicts, no more begging for access to basic navigational services, no more navigational services reliant upon you falling in line with the American narrative on this or that, or voting on the UN or something. Whatever upsets the UN, it can just, whatever upsets the US, they can just switch off for you. This is being beholden to a potentially a international bully. No more of that digital dependency on a country that considers you their enemy, and you consider them your enemy, right? But this is just the beginning of something much bigger, guys. Iran's move signals their integration into what experts are calling a Chinese-led global south, a parallel technological ecosystem that doesn't bow to Western interests. It keeps going on without falling in line with the West, right? Beidou enhances both strategic autonomy and influence across the world, with agreements signed with numerous countries with China to expand its use, including for military applications. Very important point there. Because obviously when conflict comes about, you switch off whatever switches you have to help yourself or help your allies. Now, if China's your boy and you're using Beidou and you're in conflict, let's say with America or some North Atlantic country, right, NATO country for example, you won't be worried about GPS being switched off on your backside. Now we're watching the birth essentially of two separate digital worlds, one controlled by America and its allies, and another controlled by China and its allies, countries like Iran, Russia, North Korea, dozens of others who are tired basically of being dependent on Western technology. Iran has pivoted in another key way, away from the West towards China and the global South. And strategically, this is likely to bring Iran a lot of stability and prosperity in the years ahead, for better or worse. I'm not taking sides, I'm reporting to you the news and the analysis unbiased and without the Western spin. Now, it depends on, obviously, if you want good or bad for Iran, that you would like to see it acting more autonomously, more independently of the Western world. One thing is clear though, the satellites that China manages that orbit the Earth in their dozens, orbiting constantly, the Beidou constellation has rivaled American GPS and forever removed American dependence or dependence on America from nations in the global South, for better or worse. For the unbiased news and analysis without that Western spin I hate. I'm particularly charged today because of the BBC just moving mad, guys. It's just moving mad. Sky News, I went on there, and the Member of Parliament for, I think it was Ilford North or something, nearly got overthrown by a Muslim sister called Lian Mohammed. West Streeting, he's talking mad nonsense about Glasgow. Anyway, if you're not UK, you probably don't know what I'm talking about. If you're in the UK, you possibly still don't know what I'm talking about. But Glastonbury, there was some madness that gone on there. BBC's really upset that their, censorship safeguards failed them. Sky News has got West Streeting sat somewhere condemning this, and he's appalled and is atrocious. Blah, blah, blah. He wasn't appalled, by the way, with Israeli actions in Gaza, apparently. That wasn't appalling enough to, come on TV on Sky News and call it appalling. But it's appalling that someone at Glastonbury, a musician, started shouting some chant he doesn't agree with. Anyway, talk more about that on another one. For the unbiased news and analysis without the Western spin, I'm Mahfouz, and I'll see you on the next one. Milk.